Very good afternoon, students. Today we will start with unit number 2, where we'll be talking about the training needs of the salespeople. So, mm, why do actually we need training? The main thing is, why does the salespeople need training? So, from a research, it has been found out that by giving training to the salespeople, it motivates them, it helps to improve their selling effectiveness, it helps to improve the customer relationship, then it also helps to have a greater retention rate of the salespeople. So overall, it only has a positive effect. So that is why giving a sales training to the salespeople is very much required. But but it has been seen, or it has been observed, we can say, that after the training has been given, then also many a times salespeople are also very not quite satisfied, as well as the customers are also not very satisfied. So the main thing over here is that while designing the training program, maybe the what are the objectives of the training needs have not been decided, or there have been improper estimation of training needs, then the customer's opinion has also not been considered, then follow up trainings must not have been done. So there are many reasons. So there are many reasons when the effectiveness is reduced because proper designing has not been done of the training methods. Now, if we talk about what is the sales training process, so over you can see in the diagram that first of all you should identify who actually needs the training and what type of a training is needed by them. Then accordingly the training methods have been designed and it has to be executed. After the training has been given, the evaluation should be done, and if it is seen that the people are not working according to the training that has been given, then it should be reinforced, because salespeople do not very easily wish to change their ways of working. So the training methods have to be reinforced after the training period is over. So, while you're identifying, the first point in this, that understanding the sales training process, so you have to first of all you have to identify who are the people who actually need the training. First and foremost, it is required by the newly hired salespeople, because they are new to the company, they do not know much about the products, what is the working culture of the company. So for any type of a product, maybe for industrial product, for technical products, it is very necessary that they are given proper training about the industry's working culture. Then, second is existing salespeople. The salespeople who are already working in the organization, they also need training from time to time so that they can benefit from the refresher courses which are going on in the company. So existing salespeople also need the training. Then third point, intermediaries. So intermediaries like the dealers, the distributors, the manufacturers, they are also given training from time to time about the company's products, about the technical working of the products. For technically complex products, we will be seeing that it is very necessary to train the salespeople so that the train the customer so that the employees can also help the employees can actually demonstrate in a particular way how the product is to be used, and this will result into less of customer complaints and more of customer satisfaction. Then the training is also required by the sales managers, because they are actually seeing the salespeople, they're observing how the salespeople are working. So it is very much necessary that the sales managers are also given proper training. They can be given an in-house training also, or they can be given training in the big IIMs like Ahmedabad. So these are all the people. So everybody who's working in the organization needs a training. Now, point number two, that what are the methods that are used for identifying the training needs? So the various methods used for identifying training needs is the sales manager's observation. Sales manager observes, he sees that actually what is the shortfall of the particular salesperson. Accordingly, the training has to be designed for that particular salesperson. Second point is sales force survey. So once a survey is being done, you're able to understand where is, if you gather the data of the salespeople, that where they are lacking, which are the areas that has to be developed for the salespeople. So This is also the identification is also done through the Salesforce survey. Then your identification can be done through customer survey, which will help to understand what is the expectation of the customer, what are the competencies that is required for a salesperson to work in the market. Then you have performance testing of salespeople. This is done by testing of various skills, various product knowledge, his attitudes. So performance testing is done. Then job description is also there, which actually mentions the key responsibility areas of the salespeople. Then you have Salesforce audit, which asks questions on the training program about its adequacy, whether the training program was enough to give them the training, whether it was according to the market needs, if after the training what was the contribution the salesperson was able to make in the organization. So the sales audit is also done. Then various types of popular sales training needs. First one is product knowledge. So why is the training needed? It is needed because you have to know what is the product useful for. What are the advantages of the product? What are the benefits of the product? What are the features of the product? If it is a very complex product, you should have a detailed knowledge how it should be installed. For a new product, training should be given to the existing salespeople because they are also new to that particular product, so they do not know how to operate the product. So overall product knowledge should be given to the salespeople so that they can sell it in a proper manner. Then customer knowledge. So training may also include information about the household customers, about the government customers, about the institutional customers, how they conduct their business, what are the buying motives of those particular customers, what is the buying orientation of the particular customers. In case of foreign customers, cultural differences also exist. So you must have a proper knowledge. For that also training is given to the salespeople. Then third point, competitive knowledge. It is very much necessary that a salesperson knows what is the strength, what is the weakness of the competitor, what are the strategies that are adopted by the competitors, what are the tactics used by the competitors. So, a complete competitive knowledge is necessary for the salesperson to be effective. Then, fourth point, sales techniques and selling skills. Many people are not competent in selling techniques and hence they have to be trained on how to sell, as there are many common shortcomings like ineffective questions, then attitude problems, listening skills. Training in customer relationship management helps to retain the customers. Last and not the least, the salespeople should have a thorough knowledge about their company also. Otherwise, how will they be effective if they don't know about their company? What are the policies the company is giving? What is the objectives of the company? So for a new sales trainee particularly, it is very necessary that he has the proper knowledge about the company. He knows the company's vision, he knows the company's mission, what are the values that are required, what are the objectives, what is the organizational structure, what is the environment inside the company. All this is given through the training program that is conducted in the organization. Then the five decisions a sales manager takes while designing is ACME. So the sales manager has to design the sales program and then he has to execute the sales program. So if we say we can use the acronym ACME, which means what are the aims? Why is the training being conducted? Then what is the content of the training program that is going to take place? Then you have methods, that means how is the training program being going to be conducted, what are the various methods that it will be used. Then you decide on who, when and what, that who are the people who will be trained, when is the time when they will be trained, what is the training timings. So that is who, when and what. Then you come with evaluation, that after the training has been given you have to evaluate whether the training was proper or not. Then you have designing and executing the sales training program. So over here, what are the various aims of the sales training program? Maybe it is to increase the productivity, maybe orientation of new salespeople, maybe creating a positive attitude, maybe improving customer relations. So while designing a program, all these things have to be kept in mind. So then you will be deciding what will the content for the new trainees. The content for the new trainees will be broader as compared to the existing trainees. The company knowledge is there. The new trainee has to be given knowledge about the company, about the product, about the customer. So all these knowledge is required that has to be given to the new trainees. But for the existing or the experienced salespeople, the content will be different. They can be introduced, they can be trained on something that is new in the market. That if they launched a product, if some changes have taken place in the market, then the existing salespeople require the training. Many companies are paying attention to building long-term relationships with key customers. So salespeople have to identify the accounts, and then they have to give them their, according to the strategies, they have to serve the customers. So that is why time and territory management is also done, so that the effectiveness of the customer of the salespeople can be improved. We talk about the various methods of conducting a sales training. In this classroom training, we have the lecture method, the demonstration method, the group discussion method. In behavioral learning, we have role playing, case studies, simulation games. In online training, we have distance learning, EPSS, we have interactive multimedia training. In absorption training, we have audio, cassettes, podcasts, CDs, and books. In on the job training, we have mentoring and job rotation. So let us start with the first one, that is the classroom training or the conference training group. So the training methods in this group are lecture method, demonstration method, and group discussion method. So all as we all know that lecture method is giving a big good amount of information to all those present in the lecture hall in a very short period of time. So you'll be having a large number of audience, and a lot of information will be given in a short period of time. But this method can also lead to boredom because the people are less active in such sessions. Then you have the demonstration method, which is actually showing how the product will work. So you have to give a proper demonstration. If it is a technical product, the person or the salespeople must know very nicely how to operate that particular product, how to install that particular product. So demonstration must be given. Then you have group discussion method. Mostly it is useful when you're having the participants who are less experienced, as well as some participants who are having much experience. So in that condition, group discussion is necessary. A panel discussion consists of a small group of people who discusses on a specific topic. So the group consists of this one. Then we have behavioral learning or simulation group. This also consists of three training methods. One is role playing, one is case studies, and one is business game. In role playing, it is a very effective method. Mostly one person, what happens, they have to play a role. Mostly what happens, one person acts as the salesperson and the other person will act as a buyer. And then they will, when they are working in that particular mode, they enact that particular situation. They are able to understand how to convince the salesperson to sell his product. So it is a useful method for teaching sales techniques or sales process. Typically one trainee plays the role of a salesperson and another plays the role of a buyer. Then you have a case study method. Case study method is actually where a salesperson is able to understand what were the real life problems that a particular company has faced and how did they solve it. So it helps you to understand the real life problems and take solutions for it. So it is beneficial for understanding the consumer behavior and building problem solving abilities. Case studies include open discussion, group discussion, and presentation. So mostly what happens, a 1 or 2 page case study is handed over to the participants so that they can read it at home, and after that they can come back and they will have a discussion, a real-time discussion in the class. And it may be in the form of groups where they will discuss what was the problem and how it was solved. And at the end of the discussion, the trainer will summarize what actually the case consisted of and how it was solved. So the major benefit of case study is it improves the analytical and problem solving skills. Then it helps to understand the training methods. The trainees also learn how to apply theory to practical business situations. But the main drawback in this is what, trainees may face difficulty in choosing the right concept for application to solve the problem. Then, if the participants or the trainees do not put adequate efforts towards reading the cases, then classroom discussion actually becomes a failure. Then the third one is business games. Over here, simulation games are actually designed so that The salespeople can solve real life situations, and when they actually face such situations in the market, they will be able to solve it. So these are actually pre-programmed computer packages which are based on real life situations. So trainees make decisions on sales forecast, then pricing, then advertising, size of the orders. So it helps in learning impact of decision making. It generates enthusiasm and competitive spirit among the salespeople. Then we have next one, that is the absorption training or the self-study group. So it includes supplying audio cassettes, mostly the product manuals, the book articles and CD-ROMs to salespeople who read or absorb these materials without any feedback. It is mostly useful for introducing the basic materials or strengthening the previous training. Then we have on the job group training. So most companies use this method as it places a sales trainee in a realistic sales situation. Typically, a junior salespeople, a person is assigned to a senior salesperson for some period of time. Okay, so and under his coaching and under his mentoring, the junior salesperson or the junior or new employee learns how to convince the people, how to sell the product, how to face the situation. So in mentoring, a junior or new employee gets a lot of information. Then in this, you have job rotation also, which helps the sales trainee or the new salesperson to work in different jobs for very short period of time. So it is used to groom the salespeople for management positions. For example, a new salesperson in FMCG is asked to work for 2 months in a retail shop. Then, after 2 months is over, he can work on the company logistics department. So his job is being rotated so that he can have a experience of all the various departments in a particular organization. Then you have the online training group. It includes electronic performance system and interactive multimedia training and distance learning. So electronic performance support system is sales people actually have a large amount of data, and so whenever they require it, they can gather the data instead of asking for from somebody, instead of inquiring somebody. They just, because they are already having the data in the soft copy, so the data, they just click on it and get the information, whatever information is required by the salespeople. Maybe it can be on product specification, it can be on customer information, it can be on competitor's price. So this is a software with the help of which the salespeople get instant information. Then you have interactive multimedia training, which is quicker and it is less costly and effective, used for retaining the salespeople when asked to take more responsibility like prospecting. Then you have after sales services, customer relationship building. So these are all the multimedia trainings. Mostly these trainings was actually designed that when the people are driving, they can listen to these things and they can watch it and they can train themselves. Then we also have distance learning training, because it is not always possible for the salespeople to go and study in the physical mode. So along with their job, they can go in for a distance learning training also, where they do not have that in the classes, and they will be giving, they will be provided with study material and they will be studying from study material and they will give their exams for their further development. This is also known as remote learning, or you can say this is also known as hybrid learning. Then you have absorption training or self-study. So it includes supplying audio cassettes, product manuals, books, CDs to the salespeople who read or absorb these materials without any urgent doubt and comments. So these are actually, they can listen to it, they can read the manuals, and they can go through these materials. So this method is useful in introducing basic materials like the product manual and the company sales policies. Audio cassettes or podcasts are supplied to salespeople to utilize the driving times. Topics used may be humorous skits that teach time management, the selling techniques they can use, and it helps to motivate the salespeople. Then, after the sales method, it has to be selecting the training method. Okay, so now you have to decide, because there is various methods. So now you have to decide which training method can be used. So in addition to the topic and audience, selection of appropriate method depends on active and passive learning, because mostly what happens that people mostly remember 10% only of what they're reading, 20% of what they hear, 30% of what they see, 50% of what they hear and see, 70% of what they say, and 90% of what they say as they do a thing. So it is very necessary to for the sales manager to decide what type of a sales training can be designed for the sales force. Then organizational decision for sales training. Okay. So you have to decide, the decision has to be taken by the sales manager, that who will be the trainees, who will conduct the training, when should the training take place? At what time should it take place? How long should the training be? Whether it should be 1 month, whether it should be 15 days. What are the objectives of the training? Why the training has to be given? What is the various areas in which the training is needed? Where should the training be done? Whether it should be done in some centralized place or whether it can be done in a decentralized place. So that has to be decided. What will be the budget or expenditure for the training program that will be conducted? So all these decisions have to be taken by the sales manager. Then who will be the trainees? The trainees can be newly and existing salesperson. They can be the intermediaries like the distributors, the the wholesalers, the dealers. These intermediaries or the salespeople need training in product and market knowledge as well as in the certain skills like selling and negotiating. Then sales managers should also be given the training. Then you have to decide who will conduct the training. Usually three sources are there. First is line sales personnel, or you can say the senior salesperson, the branch or the regional managers, and the managers who have line responsibility are usually the main trainers of the company salespeople. These trainers bring into the training program years of sales experience, which helps the trainees to relate to them. So the main advantage is that they carry more authority and can establish a better rapport with the sales trainees. Then you have the staff trainees. So the companies can hire a specialized staff also for giving a particular training to conduct the training program. So the main advantage in staff trainers is that they are specialized staff. They're actually doing that particular job only. So they have the specialization and they can attend to the details of the training program in a more professional manner than the others. The third one, outsiding training specialist. Okay, so you can either have your training from in-house people or you can hire the people from outside. So these are involved in sales training programs for bringing new ideas and training methods. So some train on entire training program, some specialize in very narrow fields like training pharmaceutical sales, representative or training the sales engineers. So it is on the company to decide whether they're going to conduct the sales training inside the organization or they are going to hire somebody from outside. Then you have to decide when should the training take place. So mostly sales manager assert that newly hired trainees should receive formal training before placing them in the field selling. Experiences show that the training groups smaller than 15 are costly, while those training groups which are larger than 40 are actually less effective in terms of learning. So the timing of the initial sales training program depends upon the size of the sales trainees and the company's plan. Some companies like Tisco, every employee is required to undertake training program of a minimum of 10 days. So it depends upon the organization also that what they decide, that how long the training should be given. Then you have to decide where should the training take place, whether it should be centralized training or whether should it be decentralized training. The training at a central location is central which is typically held at the home or the head office or the manufacturing plant. So centralized centers have excellent facilities because they are purposefully they have been built for the training purpose only. So they have excellent centers and facilities and equipments as well as highly skilled people to teach the new salespeople. The main advantage is that because the trainees are away from home so that they can focus more on learning. Another advantage is that the trainees can see the manufacturing facilities and meet the top executives. But the disadvantage is that it is very expensive due to the cost of travel, the meals of the salespeople, the facilities that they are provided in the centralized authority. So that is the expense is the main disadvantage in such a condition. Now, if there has to be decentralized training. This can take place at a branch or regional office, at customer's place, or at the hotel, with centralized training and branch managers getting opportunity to conduct the training program. The main advantage is that in this is that it is lower cost as compared to centralized training, and branch managers getting opportunity to conduct the training programs. But the disadvantage, unless directed by senior managers, execution of the decentralized training is often less effective. Then, after the method has been decided, it is very much necessary for the sales manager to see what is actually the budget, what is the expense that will be required for conducting the sales program. What will be the content of the sales training program, where will it be held, who are the people that will be involved, and after he has calculated all these things, he should make a written document and he should mention the expenditure that will be required for giving this particular training program. After he prepares the document, he should hand it over to the senior top management and get it approved by them before conducting the training program. So, what are the instructional material to be used? The instructional material can be in the form of manuals, which will be containing the cases, the directions for the role playing, the company policies. It can be also in the form of company publications, where printed materials such as the company's product brochures or leaflets or technical and trade books can be included and the salespeople can go through it. So, what are the training aids that are required? Training aids that are required are mostly the mic, the projector, you have the whiteboard. So, these are the various training aids that are used by the trainers. Then, if you talk about the execution of the sales training program, usually what happens, the sales trainers or the sales training manager is responsible for the entire process of sales training. So the execution includes preparing the timetable, arranging the internal and the external trainers, making travel arrangements for the participants, arranging the conference hall and teaching aids, and so on. A good practice to make a final check 1-2 days prior to starting the training program and to obtain the feedback from the sales trainees at the end of the program. Then we talk about the evaluation. So how will it be evaluated? So in order to evaluate the sales training program, you have to see that what is the reaction. So whether the sales training achieved the objectives and whether the training was worthwhile. What is the reaction of the sales trainees, of the supervisors or the training staff? That can be measured by interviewing them. Then you can see what they have learned, how much knowledge have they gained. Then you can see whether there has been any change in the behavior after the training has been given. You can observe it over a period of time. Then you can see whether the results, what you wanted, are according to the things that have been taught to them. So they point out whether the outcome of training has improved the performance results and whether the benefits of training were more than the cost. So in over here, you have mentioned in a tabular form what are the outcomes that has to be measured, what to be is to be measured, how to measure, and when to measure. So you can measure what outcomes to measure can be the perception of the participants, what to measure. You will be how what is the training objective? What was the training? Was it actually worthwhile? How will you measure? You can measure it through questionnaires and interviews, and you will be measuring after the training. Then you will be seeing how much knowledge have they gained, what is the change in the attitude of the. So how will you do it? You can do it through some tests and interviews. Then this is also done after the training or after the test has been conducted. Then you can see whether there has been any change in the behavior of the trainees or not. This can be done by the self-assessment by the trainees or by observation by the supervisors and the managers. This is also done after the training period is over. Finally, you'll be seeing whether the performance has been more than whatever the cost for the training was. Then this can be done through by observing the company's data, by seeing the management judgment, by doing a market survey. This can be done on a quarterly basis or on a yearly basis. Then reinforcement of the sales training program. So mostly it has been observed that the salespeople do not like to change their behavior after the training program unless there is actually some reinforcement to the sales training. So this method often used to reinforce training are refresher training. So after the training is over, you must give a refresher training, which includes continuous training to overcome the deficiencies of experienced salespeople and also retraining of salesperson whose job requirements have changed due to changes in the sales territories or their promotion. Then senior salespeople or managers should coach the new salespeople. Then you should also have web-based or online methods to reinforce the formal training sessions. So the companies must have type of reinforcement training after the formal sales training process training is over as a part of the sales training process. So this was all about the training method that can be used in an organization so that The effectiveness of the people, the effectiveness of the salesperson is improved, the objectives and goals of the company is achieved. Okay students, thank you. We'll meet in the next video.